What is happening? Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. We are sitting in Hobart, Tasmania, which is a small island. I guess not very small, but it's an island south of Australia. It's part of Australia, and that's where we are right now. We're in an Airbnb here right off a cool little strip in North Hobart, and we're really enjoying our time. Today, we're going to talk about Melbourne. We spent 7 or 8 days in Melbourne, and we're going to talk about that and give you the things that we saw, the things that we enjoyed, and maybe why you should consider it if you're looking out to travel in this part of the world anytime soon. If you're just joining us, I am Matt Javitt, sitting next to Nikki Javitt. We are a traveling couple. We've been doing this for over 2 years now, and we are documenting our journey around the world, being in over 30 countries and hundreds of cities and over 100 cities. And we document it all on our website, passportjoy.com, and on this podcast in the hopes to just share tips to maybe give you some things to think about on your weekend getaways or week-long adventures or even long-term travel if you're looking to do that in the near future like we did. All of the things we talk about today it's a very short episode, but some of the things you might hear, you might be like, want to consider looking into deeper. I share all that on our show notes at passportjoy.com under the podcast link. You just go there, find your episode, and find the information that's helpful to you. As we've mentioned before, Nikki just dropped her first book and published it on Amazon, and we're really excited about it. It's called Passport Joy, Reflections on Life, Love, and Other Stuff While Traveling the World. She really opens up. She gives a lot about not only her current, everything she's been experiencing over these last 2 years on the road, but also stuff from her past, and just she's pretty open. It's an awesome book, and she's getting it's a short read. She's getting a lot of good feedback on that, so we really appreciate it. And if you read it and you do like it, please take 2 to 3 minutes and just write up a quick Amazon review. That really helps, and we really appreciate that when those come in. World Barbershop Adventures. We just had 2 of our India episodes were released in the last couple of weeks. Hyderabad and Calcutta. Both of them are very raw and real and give you an insight in India. A lot of people have questions on India, but it's a great visual aspect of it. And if you go check out the YouTube page, you can see those episodes, and it just show you how different that part of the world is, and it's a lot of fun to be in the barber chair in that region. It was great. If you want to check out the companies that we love to partner with as we travel the world that have made our travels a lot easier, go to passportjoy.com/partners. And you'll find all the companies that make our journey so easy or easier as we travel, like ExpressVPN. If you're not using a private virtual network, that's what VPN stands for. As you travel, or even if you're going to coffee shops around your house, you're being exposed. So VPN is actually like gives you your own private tunnel to the internet. Keeps all your stuff safe and secure, and we use ExpressVPN. It's awesome. And the other thing about it, whether you're looking at your finances when you're doing it or just making sure that your emails are safe and all that, you can check out all of the content stuff you're paying for, like Hulu or Sling or Netflix. For me, this time of the year, there's a ton of sports coming up with March Madness and everything, and I'll definitely be using my VPN to make sure I can check out some of the games as we're on the road. So again, ExpressVPN, if you go to our passportjoy.com/partners page, click on that, you'll get a 30-day, I think it's 30 days for free as you sign up. So check that out, and it's a great way to be on the internet safely. All right. If you want to sign up for the newsletter, we send out a newsletter every Thursday. It gives you little highlights of the stuff we're going through that are not on this podcast, and also little tidbits on the travel industry and just things that are coming up in the future for us as well. Go to passportjoy.com, put in your email address, and press go, and we will send you that newsletter every Thursday, and it's a lot of fun. That is it. Hope you enjoy this short episode from Australia, and let's get into it. right, so we arrived to Australia, in particular Melbourne, after flying in from Bangkok. We had a short stay, and it was a direct flight, 9 hours from Bangkok, Thailand, and it was probably one of the worst flights that we've been on just because the seats were so uncomfortable. So, we did economy. Yeah, it was like metal bars, and we did economy, and that's how we always fly with those long flights. But for some reason, it was a newer airplane, but the seats were just extremely uncomfortable. So we landed in Melbourne, and that was a red eye. So we left at like 10 o'clock, 9:30 Bangkok time. Arrived at 10:30 a.m. Sunday into Melbourne with stiff backs and really just sore, just pretty sore. So when we get there, we are ready to go, kind of, because we're pretty tired as well. So we get into, and at that point we had a 1 week stay in Melbourne planned, and we were staying in the St. Kilda beach area where Nikki had booked an amazing Airbnb.
Thank you.
So we arrive, take a short nap, and then we go out and try to see the area a little bit. St. Kilda has it's got a great beachfront, parks, it's gorgeous. There's Auckland Street, I think it's Auckland, yeah, where there's all kinds of bars and restaurants and great culture and nightlife. And we just begin to take it all in. And that week I had booked the week before, I booked 2 tours for us. One was to the Grampian National Park, and the other one was the Great Ocean Road Tour, which takes you out by the 12 Apostles and all that stuff, the beautiful stuff. Well, we brought a bug with us from either Thailand or India, and we weren't feeling that well on Monday, so we had to actually back out on Monday of the Grampian tour, which it brings up a point again that travel insurance can be very beneficial. So, because that trip for the 2 of us was about $200 US. And then with the medical, I guess the quick clinic we had to go to get the meds to help clear up the stomach pain, that was probably another 100, 150 or so total. So again, travel insurance is going to take care of that, and it's going to make it easy to get through, and it makes it just something that you should consider.
Yeah, it really just gives you also peace of mind, knowing that in case something were to happen, like an acute illness like that, you can actually get reimbursed for those things. Because it does add up. And, in total, we actually probably spent about $500 US. I had to get some testing done and then medication, but I was pretty sick. So yeah, it's just nice to know that you can book those tours. And even if they have like a cancellation policy that's horrible, which ours wasn't too bad, but if you canceled 24 hours prior, you could get your money back. But I did not get ill until we actually arrived, probably 12 hours after we arrived in Melbourne. So I didn't even know. There'd be no way for me to call and cancel that. And I had a very, very high fever and chills and some other GI stuff going on. But there's just no way that I could have even walked around or even sat on the tour bus that day. I was pretty sick. So it was just good to know that, you can file those claims, and just obviously you have to have all the paperwork. You can't just say I was sick. But Matt was awesome in the fact that he went to the tour people and they provided us a letter for our insurance. So I was able to give that to my insurance along with all my bills, just to verify that I was in fact sick and was seen by a physician. But it's nice to know that you get that money back.
Yeah, and the tour company that we were going with, Go West, was amazing in the process and how quickly they responded to that. So yeah, so that was kind of a bummer to start off, but we broke through it, and then we ended up taking advantage of the rest of the time that we were there. Like I said, the area that we were staying in is great, and kind of like an artsy area and a lot of fun and a lot of places to see and take advantage of. And then everything's extremely walkable, but they also have the My Key. It's like a all-inclusive pass where you can go on trams and buses and train and all the different ways around town. And Melbourne is very easy. And in Melbourne, if you're not familiar, it's the second largest city in Australia. It's about 4.5 million people. Extremely diverse, multicultural, expanding as far as, because they've got nothing but land to expand and grow, but they expect it's going to take over the size from Sydney here in the coming years. But a lot of businesses are there, and it seems friendly. We felt like we could be in San Diego. It just felt like an American city, because when you look around, everybody looks like they're Americans. Obviously, you're speaking English. I don't know, it was great. But we had a chance to walk downtown a bunch, taking all the kind of kind of the businessy area. And then also there's a great street called Chapel Street that we highly recommend, full of bars and restaurants and shops and a lot of different unique places to see there. And we ended up having we went out to a Japanese restaurant, met this amazing Japanese couple and spent a lot of time and just talking with them on their travels. They were down there learning English. They had left their careers. The gentleman was in his early 50s. He had left his career and he was trying to start the next chapter of his life, and he wanted to learn English in Australia. So he was down there for doing that with his wife. So we had a chance to talk to them for a while. And I don't know, it was just Melbourne was extremely inviting, and it was a lot of fun as far as the city goes. And also the Crown Casino was downtown, a massive casino with everything since we had lived in Vegas, we've seen the biggest and best casinos in the world. And this Crown Casino was just at that level. They had a poker room for me and all the different games. So that was a lot of fun. And then I guess the highlight of our time in Melbourne was the Great Ocean Road Tour that we did with that Go West Tours. Our tour guide, his name was Joel, super fun, really knew his stuff, just a high energy, likable guy. And with the tour trips, that's really important, is to have a tour person that you trust. I guess somebody that you trust a lot, but you also like to be around them and that are fun and kind of high energy. So that's Joel. Joel is fantastic with that. And also the crew we were with too, because there was 4 other people from the States, maybe 6, a couple from Taiwan, 3 girls from Hong Kong, like a guy from Egypt, a girl from Budapest, another lady from Germany. So there was like a extremely diverse group, a couple from New Zealand. It was just a lot of fun to be around that many people that were all getting along and talking whenever we stopped and had a chance to hang out. So that's what we don't always do tours, but when we do, we always seem to enjoy them if you do the research and pick up a good one. And that Go West Tours was really nice. So on that tour trip, we did it's this really long scenic journey around. It's like a coastal route up the coast along Melbourne, but it's called the Great Ocean Road, and it's got the scenery is just gorgeous of the beach and the land. There's surf. You go through different surf towns, and we stopped at a rainforest that had these huge trees. What were those trees called? They're the second largest in the world.
Yeah, I don't remember what they're called, but they're the second largest tree in the world, the redwoods in California being number 1. And they were so large that they were used for shelter, like back in the day when the Aboriginals lived there and were actually living amongst nature. But they look like very, very tall trees, and the roots of the trees actually don't go into the ground all the way. So a lot of the roots are intertwined and come up out of the earth. And then you're left with almost like a hollowed out base of the tree trunk. And it's surrounded by these massive roots, and the roots are like petrified wood at this point. So they're not soft. And in that hollowed out point of the base of the tree, that's where people would go for shelter when it was raining or to go to get away from enemies, etc. But it was really cool just to see how large these trees were. And we didn't really see any animals on that rainforest trip, which was super disappointing. But we were able to see a pack of kangaroos on our drive home. And for me and for Matt, I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, but it was definitely a highlight of the trip itself, because I have never in the 37 years of my existence seen a live kangaroo. And I'm not even sure, someone could probably let us know, but I'm not sure if zoos at home have the kangaroos. So, but yeah, it was just really crazy to see. I was like 5 or 6 kangaroos. They were in this tall grassy area, and you could just see basically part of their necks from basically like the collarbone up, and their head and their little ears poking up. And then we all got out of the van that we were in and tried to go up and take pictures because they weren't that far away, about 100 yards away from us. And then they either got scared or just decided to leave, but they all like hopped off and jumped off in unison. And it was just so crazy to see that in person. I'm sure for people who live in Australia, if you're listening to this, it's like a normal thing, because there's so many things that were like, oh man, did you see that koala bear? Did you see that kangaroo, and people in Australia just look at you like, yeah, I see that every day. So it was just really cool to see that. And then we did get to went to this one section. I don't even know where it was, but it was basically a whole huge patch of eucalyptus trees. And in the eucalyptus trees, you could just walk along this dirt road and you could see koala bears just in the wild sleeping in these trees. And again, I've never seen a koala bear, so pretty cool. But I actually should correct myself, because I was told that on our tour that they are not in fact koala bears, they're just koalas. So I take the bear part back. That was something I learned. I've just grew up thinking they were called koala bears, but they're no relation to a bear or the family of a bear or anything close. So they're just called koalas. So yeah, we saw 2 koalas in the trees, and it was really cool just to see them sleeping in the branches. And I can't believe they sleep there and they don't fall out. Like, it's crazy. Like, I would fall off that tree. But yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, those are definitely my highlights as well. To be that close to a koala, and then the kangaroos were just nuts. And I'm sure that for us to be able to spend a month here in Australia, well, we're going to have more opportunities like that to see that wildlife. But the first time you get a chance to do it, it really hits you. And then so during that journey, obviously the big thing was the 12 apostles. These are these rock formations, these limestone rock formations off the coast outside of Melbourne, and that's pretty much the highlight. This is the main reason people go down that main road, the ocean road, and to see that and get the epic photos. And it really is, it's gorgeous. I mean, for us to be able to get in front of those and just kind of chill out and take it all in and view it all, and then also be able to get down to go on the beach. There's a thing called Gibson's Steps, where you go down about, I think it's 80. They said 80 steps to get on the beach and be able to walk on the beach and then see one of the, I guess, 2 of the apostles from the beach. Was really neat. And then there's another area called Loch in George, where there's this famous shipwreck story that is like a folklore there. And so to hear that, and there's like a gorgeous inland area there where you can take a lot of photos as well. So it's a lot of just gorgeous land and beauty and very scenic. And it was definitely the highlight of our journey in Melbourne to see all that. But also the city. I mean, obviously, if you're going that far to that part of the world, you want to take in as much of that as possible. But if you're just spending time in the city as well and taking in maybe the arts, to all the different things they have there. And also their, I would call it graffiti, but it's more like street art. The street art is everywhere in Melbourne, and it's epic. I mean, it's colorful and vibrant and all kinds of different decor. I don't know if I almost wondered if like the government looks over it and make sure people don't put bad graffiti or something, because it's just so good. Yeah, it's very tasteful. But yeah, so overall, and then I had a chance to meet a buddy from Indianapolis out for a beer, because he happened to be in the region as well. We grabbed a beer, my friend Todd, and so that was a lot of fun. And so it was a good week. Even though we were fighting the bug and that part sucked, we still made the most of Melbourne and took in all the different opportunities. And I had a great co-work day. If you're ever in that area in St. Kilda, there's a new co-work called Blank Co-working, and that was fantastic. They were really nice, and they helped me do what I needed to do to get in and out. And the owner, Eric, he's a great business owner, and that was fun. So if you ever need some place to work while you're there, look for Blank. But I guess overall, that was it. That was basically our journey. And then from there, we flew out to Tasmania on that Sunday. So we spent about 7 or 8 days in Melbourne and took it all in and just enjoyed it. So if you get a chance, we highly recommend it. It's a gorgeous, and we're starting to understand, obviously this is a start of our Australia trip, but early on we could understand why the buzz for Australia is here and everybody talks about it. Now everybody wants to see it, because although we haven't seen the crazy wildlife that everybody talks about, the beauty and the kindness of the people, and I guess just the amazing infrastructure, the cleanliness, and the vibrant culture and nightlife is already starting to be pretty epic. All right, that is it for this episode. Thanks again for listening wherever you might be today. As always, if there's anything that sparks your interest on Melbourne, go to the show notes at passportjoy.com. Under the podcast tab, I list everything out there for you to easily click through and find some of the things that we've mentioned. Go get Nikki's book, Passport Joy, Reflections on Life, Love, and Other Stuff While Traveling the World. You can find that on Amazon, downloads to your Kindle. It's a great read. It's a lot of fun, and she really opens up, and it's fun. It's a great look into everything we've been going through on the road from her standpoint. Sign up for the newsletter at passportjoy.com. Put your email in there. Press go. Thursdays, I send out an email that kind of highlights travel tips and tools, things you might be thinking about, credit cards that might do you a benefit, airline things that are coming out that you might want to consider, stuff like that. But then also it looks into things that we're going through in our life and the travels that are coming up. And then the World Barber Shop Adventures on YouTube on my YouTube station, Matt Javit. Go there, check out the videos from recently Calcutta and Hyderabad, and get a look at what India was like for us as we traveled there. All right. We will be back next week for a new episode. And until then, safe travels wherever you might be heading next.